it's time to be bubbleheads. Hey there, welcome to the third part in my sculpting series. This one is about hollowing the head and making ears. Now, I've been working on these fairies for a little while now, but it's time to move along and hollow out the head. I had done a sculpting series before where I showed how to make a head, and I kind of went over some of the hollowing parts already, but I figured it was worth a refresher, especially like in this new doll series, and I think I'm doing things a little bit differently now, but we will see. Okay, you're not here to watch me yap though, you're here to learn to sculpt or to watch me sculpt or whatever, so let's get right into it. Okay, so this is basically where we left off on the body, and I think it's looking pretty good. Again, we're not really working on the body now. We're going to move right along to the head. Yeah. At this point, we've kind of blocked in the eyes and stuff, but we are gonna go ahead now and use those pieces we blocked in before and hollow out the head. So how I'm doing this is I'm taking all those spheres I dropped in and shaped, and I'm just kind of like merging them together. Once I've done that, I make sure everything is transparent so I can see what I'm doing, and my parts are all black so I can see them through the head. And I'm just gonna go ahead and hide that mesh, the head mesh, and then Boolean merge it, like voxel merge it, sorry, with the head. And then that's going to hollow out the inside of the head. Then I'm going to do the exact same thing with the eyes, and that's going to leave us like a fully hollowed out head piece that we can work with. At this point, I need to create the neck channel. So I'm going to do this by using that sphere at the bottom of the neck to like carve out the head shape. And then I'm going to add a cylinder mesh and drop that in. Now I like to do this kind of like elongated, and what that's going to do is basically make it so that like an S hook can pull through, but not a whole lot else. And then on top of that, I'm going to layer another one shallow and sideways, and that's going to be basically where the S hook rests when you put the head on. Finally, this isn't going to be common with most dolls, but I'm going to basically do the same thing as the neck joint, but for the ears. However, it's going to be the sphere for the ear joint, and I'm going to hide them and then voxel merge. And then I'm going to use some small cylinders, and I'm going to use 2 of them. And the point of that is so that when you're doing the joint, the elastic can go around the bar, and then the 2 separate elastics can go in the head separately. And then I can just tie them off on the inside, and the ear will be jointed, but I don't have to have the elastics go all the way across or anything. So I just find that this works better after trying a couple things. So that's basically why that's happening. And then this is basically what it looks like. Okay, at this point I need to separate my head back from the face plate, like the front, and I'm going to do that using the split tool. I find it easier to place my magnet wells and my magnet spots first and then cut around them rather than trying to fit them after the fact. So I added my cylinders in for my magnet wells. I just basically blocked them in though. I haven't done a lot with them. And then I'm going to base my cut off of that. So I want to cut right in half, and I want to follow the same angle as the magnets are placed. Once I have that completely separated out, I can go ahead and add the magnet wells. Make sure with the actual shell for the well, the resin part around where you put your magnet, that it is cut at the same angle along the same place as your head cap is. And you can then go ahead and merge those in. Once you have merged in your well shells, that's such a weird thing to say, grab another cylinder and slightly smaller than the first one and drop it right into the center of the wells so that the circle on the outside is even all the way around. You're going to hide this and duplicate it so that there's 2 hidden ones per magnet. And that's because when you go to voxel merge this, you're going to need to do this once for the magnet well in the faceplate and once for the one in the head cap. I pretty much check the magnet wells every time I do a cut. Like I've said before, you want to basically like check every joint, every cut, every thing you're doing as you go, because if you make a mistake, you want to catch it earlier on. Once you've cut out all your magnet wells, all you have to do is make sure that your head is completely symmetrical. If you have to reset the gizmo to make it symmetrical, go ahead. But, and again, like the body, if you're mirroring left to right, like on the faceplate, make sure you're doing the same thing with the head cap. I'm really happy with how this head looks. Like, are you not gonna tell me that this isn't like the cutest baby ever? Like, okay, I know he's like pretty simple, but he's a cute baby. I love him. I'm just gonna give him a little paint just to cutesy him up. Like I said in my blueprint blockout video, I do plan on making a few different head variations for this guy, and I basically am doing the same thing. Now, it's way easier if you're doing multiple head variations to just use a cloned version of the head we just finished and just adjust. I often have to like remake things like eyelids and nose and all of that. But by using the same base over and over for this part, you can at least make sure that the bases are going to like snap into place the same. I don't know, as long as you're not using the grab tool too big, it's going to not affect your head shape enough where like the head back won't fit or the neck hole won't fit. Just make sure you're not like grabbing too big. Like you need to go like little bits at a time with these. Okay, so this is my like sad guy. I just basically had to pull the eyelids around for this one and then thicken them up. I didn't have to build whole new eyelids, which was nice. But again, super duper cute. Like, this one almost reminds me of like a sad clown. I love him a lot. Okay, moving on to the next one. For this one, I do have to fix the eye wells because I want kind of a different eye shape. And I mean, you can only pull them around so much before they start looking weird or they don't connect properly. This one has like wider set eyes, so I need to make sure like to basically recreate those eye wells completely, or they can be brittle or thin or like just not quite look right, I guess. So I'm just following the same things I did in like the last video where we made the initial face. That's all that's happening, so. I'm also going to go ahead and cut off the excess from the eye wells now so that I don't have to like re-hollow the head out after. Okay, that's looking pretty good. I'm just going to smooth it down and we're going to adjust the nose shape a little bit too. The other two have kind of like a chubbier nose. We're going to make this one a little pointed. He's looking like low-key, just a little grumpy. And then again, we're going to mirror it so that it's symmetrical on both sides. And finally, the last one. Okay, so head number 4 is like my animal head. So the nose shape is going to be a little different on this one. I'm just kind of adding some clay and sculpting out a bit more of like a bunny nose. And I'm going to just use the crease tool underneath to like shape it out. I'm also going to pull some of that down to create more of like a flat bridge to a button, like a more like bunny / cat nose. I'm also going to adjust the eye shape and fatten up the lower lids to make them look a little puffier. And I'm going to add some extra chub around the bottom of the nose. But yeah, it's giving bunny. Okay, so this is where the 4 heads are at. I'm pretty happy with those. We just have to make some ears now. Ears are super duper easy because it's just those sphere bases here and then building off an ear around that. I had mentioned before in the blueprint blockout that I want a few different variations of ears. And like these are animal ears, they're not even people ears, so they're gonna be quite simple to make. I'm gonna start with a cylinder for these bunny ears, and I'm just going to like use that extra sphere I left here, like, and shape around that. So for the bunny ear, it's a cylinder that I then use the drag tool, and then I'm going to use clay and crease, and I'm just creating a bunny ear shape. This is actually super easy. My one note on this one is you're going to want to make sure to leave a gap here if you want them to be able to move. You don't want them to sit too tight against the face. Even more, an example of this is like, here is my short-eared version. So it's the bunny ear shortened, but I do have to like cut it here so that there's a bit of a lip, and that's so that it can move a little, but it can also twist, because again, if it's too close to the jaw, it won't move. All right, moving on to a different ear type. This is like an aquatic ear. So this is more like gills. I use a cylinder and like the flat side of it, and I'm gonna cut that into like generally the shape I want. And then I'm going to use a clay tool and create all of those ridges. This is just a balance of adding clay, smoothing things, and using the crease tool. You can literally do this any shape you want, but every time you finish an ear, you need to like merge it onto this ear base. And the ear base is just a sphere with a bar through it. It is almost exactly like a wrist joint. Like it's the same thing. You just want to make sure you're placing them in a way that it's not going to hit the head when you move it. But yeah. Okay, here's basically making the joint if you hadn't seen this before. Adding that like slot cutting tool that we made in an earlier video. It's just basically a cylinder and a rectangle. And just place that right down the center of the ear, like top down, and with the round part facing in. Once you have hidden that and voxel merged it to the ear, you can take another cylinder and add it back in as a bar going across the ear, which is going to allow you to string it into the doll. Every time you make an ear, make sure that you duplicate it and then X mirror it to make the second ear. But that's it. That is how you make ears. That is how you make like a hollowed out head. I hope this video was helpful. I hope you learned. If you make something, please let me know what you make down in the comments. Don't miss the next one. We are going to be working on wings and tails. So basically fantasy parts is the theme for the next video, and I hope to see you there. Next one should be out fairly soon. They are kind of spaced a month apart because back to back to back might be a lot, but you know. If you're already subscribed, thanks so much for subscribing. And if you're new, I hope you like the series. I hope you like the content and will consider subscribing. More is coming. So yeah, as always, I hope you have a fantastic day.